Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Lunar Classic, taking a look at what's been going on most recently, what we think is going to happen next and all that wonderful stuff. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out today. You'll also find in the description below a whole host of other additional links, everything from the Patreon services where we offer a lot more for Patreon members via Discord, everything from trading and what kind of myself, Chris, are basically staking, buying and selling, all the way through to AMAs twice weekly, project reviews and a whole host of additional benefits. So if that sounds of interest to you, why not check that out. We've also got things like the community-led Cheeky podcast, we've got 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, Ledger, and a whole host more. So why not check those out if any of them are of interest to you? Okay, let's get on into this then. Lunar Classic paired up with BUSD. Okay, and following on from the previous video that we did a few days ago, we can obviously see that we've progressed a little bit, but we aren't quite down to those full targets that we've been talking about. Now, obviously, this is just our expectations, kind of like what is typical when you have a three-wave drop, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a guarantee. So we were coming down towards, or at least we thought we were going to head towards the 27428, and that's something that we have done here, and you can kind of see that we've come down quite reasonably into this low range here, and then we actually have moved up in a three-way fashion. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, and I don't want to rule this out just yet. It is still possible that we actually come down to this typical area. It's just being dragged out a little bit. Okay, you can obviously see that we have our B wave high. Okay, that means on a macro scale, what we're actually looking for here is a move to the upside. This being A, this being B, and then this being our C wave, which will basically allow us to have this B wave high point. So A, B and C like this. Okay, that's kind of the thing that we're looking for. And then of course inside this little move we'd have this as A, this is B, and then come up into C. So we end up with these structures that all kind of tie together to get us into our kind of expected ranges. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive down into what's been going on just in this little section here. Okay, let's talk about this. So there's a few things of interest here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to grab hold of our area of previous demand. Okay, that comes in right around here. And I'm going to draw this as a small slice right to about, I'm going to do it to about there. Okay, so this here seems to be the area of previous demand. There's a couple of wicks coming down a little bit lower as it kind of soaked up any of the additional kind of buying orders. And then of course you see we broke down and we turned this previous area of demand into an area of supply, as in we used to have buyers over here and now they've turned into sellers over here. Okay, and here you can see that we're also really struggling with this area. Okay, and so this is an interesting kind of zone to be kind of focusing in on. And of course, so that's the higher range there. What we want to do is we want to push through, we want to turn this into a bit of a support so we can talk about maybe pushing up higher, right? And that would be kind of the thing that we'd be looking for. Now, on the flip of this, we also have some other key areas of previous resistance as well. So if we are to come back down and we're looking to kind of retest, where is that next obvious area? Well, that's going to come in, I think, somewhere actually around about here. And this seems like a little bit of an odd slice, but I'm going to just put it in here anyway. It isn't a massive one. I think right about there seems to make the most amount of sense. As in we come down, we find that there was some areas of buying in here. We pushed through back through. We really struggled with this area and this area. We're still finding a lot of selling order in here as well. We push back down. We really kind of trying to stay above this level. We really can't, right? Every time we kind of push through, we've broken back. Now here you can see that we actually tested this recently as a demand area rather than supply. So let me grab my arrow. Here there was lots of sellers, okay, dragging that price down out of this little range. And then here, of course, we have more in the way of buyers. So we bounced from this. So previous resistance turns to support. But obviously we still have this little area here. So you can see how things are coiling up. They're in this tight little range just in here, right? So let's kind of now talk about Elliott wave theory. What does Elliott wave theory think is going on? So if we grab our fibs and we run the fib from here to here, move it over to here, you can see that all of this comes very close to our one-to-one, as in wave A, wave B, and wave C. So for the most part, there's no real requirement to continue this move to the upside according to that structure. Now, if I take a fib from here to here and I move that to this area, then we actually come exactly on the 1-to-1, okay, completing this entire structure here, A, B, and C. So when we take a look at it from that point of view, there's no real need to go any higher. We've kind of done the expectations of three-wave structures within Elliott wave theory, meaning that now we can maybe start talking about that move back to the downside towards 27428, right? This little dashed line at the bottom. So I'm going to remove this fib, and I will remove the subwave count and leave that one in there for a second. Okay, and then we can start saying, okay, well, here's your kind of structured move to the downside. We'll pop that one over there, right? Big kind of ABC structure. And we've got a couple of different ways you can count it. You could put it over here, for example. You could do this. Whatever works best for you guys. It doesn't really matter. But it's 3 down, 3 up. So 3 down, potentially next, right? And what we can do is we can assume that all of this is actually just a big three-wave structure. Okay, so I can come and take this, move this over to here, okay, on this little high point. And then we can say, okay, well, maybe our actual targeted range is going to be down here, right? Seems a little bit on the lower side, but we'll see. We'll leave it there, and we'll see how that kind of plays out, right? The data suggests this, so I'm not going to mess around and just not show what the data is suggesting to us. So basically, this is telling us that it's 23421 as the low range there, okay? And then we drop down. So that would basically allow us to then look at this as an entire corrective structure of this entire A, this entire B, and then we move up into that entire C later. Okay, and that might actually be more positive for us. Okay, it might be more towards the 4-7 range, but we'll talk about that as time progresses. Okay, so essentially here, Elliott wave theory tells us that we finished the upward move and we're looking for maybe potential downward moves. And that downward move is pretty big and pretty sizable, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1. Okay, but obviously we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because that would take some time to play out. Let's actually now dive into this actual structure here, right? We've had this little move down, we've had this little move up. We come back down, we're probably going to come and test this lower range here. Let's talk about momentum then. Okay, so on momentum on our hourly chart, we're not oversold yet, but we're getting there, almost oversold, right? Now, with this, it's probably worth noting that I have my new little indicator down here. This is one that we've made for the Patreon members at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏. This one basically shows us all of the stochastic RSI levels across the different timeframes, right? So on the hourly, we're not too bad, but on the 4-hourly, we're overbought, okay? Which means we are expecting some kind of big move to the downside on the 4-hourly chart. The 8-hourly chart, not so much. Let's check. Almost just about to go overbought. So on the 8-hour, very much like the 4-hour overbought almost, okay? So we can see this one just breaching up there right now. So as this candle closes, this is going to change to overbought. On the daily time frame, we're coming down, so still looking for that correction to the downside. The weekly, obviously, is oversold, but it looks to try to come out of the oversold area, and the monthly doesn't really exist, so that's okay. So essentially, guys, we're looking at some interesting kind of momentums on the various different time frames. Essentially, the 4 and 8 hour are looking to be overbought within the next few hours. That's going to be confirmed. And then basically our hourly chart can still kind of move down or move up. It doesn't really matter too much, but I do think the next move is down. We might kind of just bounce around a little bit, but I do think we have to come up to the downside. Now, the original target of 27428 still is valid. That is possible that we just do that, we complete that, and we finish there. It's also possible that we do move down to 23421, just this one down here, and that's also possible. So we'll keep that in the back of our heads. But essentially, I think that we should be preparing ourselves for more downside on Lunar Classic than upside. But of course, I could be wrong. Everything is volatile in crypto, and with something like Lunar Classic, where there's so much supply, so much demand, and do expect some kind of really crazy moves as FOMO kicks in. This is really driven from social culture more than from actual fundamentals and technicals. Okay, so Lunar Classic, kind of like any other meme coin, someone tweets about it and then all of a sudden the thing will blast up 25%, right? So there's things that are outside of the controls of both the fundamental analysis but also out of control of the technical analysis. Now at the moment, as people have been trading Lunar Classic, that's what Elliott wave theory is tracking. It's tracking people's behavior as they currently trade it. It doesn't take into consideration any of that kind of nonsense that you get from just pure retail FOMO and all of that. So we'll leave it there. Do expect some volatile movements. This is a crypto after all, and things don't necessarily play out exactly as you might think they are. But I do think the next move, according to the data as it stands at this point of recording the video, is a downward move for Lunar Classic. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. If you found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.